So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a few things down. The distributive property is the reason why we can combine like terms. I saw some of you, as I was walking around, were already doing the backside of the problems. And that's really good because that means you already know how to do certain things. Riley, you can go next. The distributive property is the reason why we can combine like terms. If you were wondering why are these problems on the worksheet, if you were wondering why are these problems on the worksheet for distributive property, I want to show you why. Let me give you an example. 9y plus 11y. When you get to number 23 on your worksheet, it will look like this. And you might go, I know how to do it, and that's not why I want you to do it. I want you to do it because you know why we're doing it from the distributive property. Okay?
Oh, that's the fun, isn't it?
Let's do this. 9y plus 11y. You all know what the answer is, don't you? What is the answer? 20y. But I'm pretty sure that you not forgot, or you did not know that the distributive property is the reason why you can do this. So here's what I want you to do. Since the 9 is multiplying by a y, and the 11 is multiplying up by a y, they're both multiplying by a y. I'm going to write it like this. Equals y parenthesis 9 plus 11. Let's do that real quick. 9y plus 11y is the same thing as y parenthesis 9 plus 11. If you're not sure about that, distribute and you would get 9y and you would get 11y. It works. And the whole reason we can do that is because of the right. The distributive property is the reason why we can combine like terms. If you look at this, I have a 9y and I have an 11y, and I can put those together. The y's did not change. I'm going to write that right here. The variables.
Hello.
Hi, Myers.
So sorry to interrupt you, but I have the lab reserved for today for second hour.
Did
You
you?
said you have the lab reserved.
I did, yeah. I didn't see your name on it when I reserved it on Monday.
Yeah, I reserved it on the phone with her. She gave me the lab for second hour.
Really?
Oh, you're taking your class.
That's what the plan was.
It's okay. I'll sacrifice because I'm a nice person.
Thank you, Miss Myers. Swag. Wait, we're going to the lab
Yes.
this period?
Yeah.
What lab? Computer lab?
You'll
Oh, that lab.
focus. The variables do not change when adding and subtracting. I want you to know that because that's the most common mistakes that I see on the test. Some people will think they have to do something different to this y, and you do not have to. It's literally equals 20y. The variable did not change. What did I add or subtract? I added or subtracted the coefficients, the numbers in front of the variables. I have two more examples, and then we'll be done with these notes for today.
Okay.
Example 8. Tyler, you can go next. Mine says, example 8, negative 10x squared minus 14x squared. This is very much like number 27 on the worksheet. This is very much like 23 on the worksheet. If you are not good with negatives and positives, use a calculator. And I'm not sure if you've ever done this before, so I want to show you. Are these like terms?
Yes.
So that means you can combine them. And the variables are not going to change. If you've never used the negative button on a calculator, I want to show you that the calculator, it's a weird thing. It's a really smart thing, but it's stupid at the same time. Here's how come why me say that. The calculator has this subtraction button, but it's not smart enough to know the difference between a subtraction and a negative. So if you use a negative, or if you use subtraction when it's supposed to be negative, it's going to get confused. Okay? Subtraction button means you're subtracting something, but over here, in front of this parenthesis, that's a negative button. Inside, there's a difference. Let's look at this problem. Is this subtracting 10 or is it a negative 10? You tell me. Negative. If I want to make it on the calculator, I have to press this button here, the negative button, and what happens on my calculator, you can't see that because of the glare, is it gives me a really, really short negative button. This negative is a lot shorter than when I press the subtraction. Is this a negative or a subtraction? It's a subtraction. We're subtracting 14. So I'm going to put minus. This is the subtraction button. Look at the difference of the size. Calculators are not that smart. So negative 10 and then the 14. It will know how to do negative 10 minus 14. I hope you know what the answer is. Think about what your answer is. And if you get it right, tell me, raise your hand if you got negative 24. Okay, that means most of you might need to use a calculator to double check your negatives and your positives. And that means that this is negative 24x squared. Our calculators cannot put in the variables for you. It cannot do that part. It's, like I said, they're not that smart. But they can do the negative 10 and the negative 14 together with you.
It shows an X2 button.
Yes, it does. That means to square something, but that does not mean we can punch in negative 10x squared minus 14x squared. I cannot punch this whole thing in, and it will not give me the answer. Okay? So keep that in mind. It can only do the numbers, the coefficients. Last one, example 9. Example 9 says 5m squared n minus 3mn squared minus 7m squared n. Chase. This is going to match problem 36 on your worksheet. I put that there in case you were. I was showing Riley and I was showing Mark earlier. I said you should be doing your worksheet with your notes right by you, right by your worksheet, so you can look at the examples and then see how to do it. They're supposed to help you as you're doing your worksheet. Are these two like terms?
No.
They don't match. They're not the same. Are these two like terms? m squared n. Here's what I do. I underline the ones that I'm going to put together. Sometimes I circle them. Sometimes I circle them to know that I can put these together. And what I mean by that is I'm going to add or subtract them together. 5m squared n minus 7m squared n. I hope you know what that is. But if you're not sure, you can always use your calculator. 5 minus 7. And I encourage you, if you are not good with negatives and positives, some of you miss questions because you got the negatives and positives wrong. Use the calculator to double check. These two together make negative 2m squared n. They do not change. What do I do with this minus 3m n squared?
Put it in.
Can I combine those?
No.
So you just circle it and then you're done. Okay, here's the plan.